Hey guys, happy Friday. Welcome to the Design Exchange. I'm your host, Danny Russo, here with
Melinda Peters-Elliott.
And
Happy Friday.
happy Friday. So
let's
what's
be
going on?
talking.
What's going on in your world?
Just a lot of stuff going on.
I can't believe how fast the year's gone
The year
by.
has flown. And I am really, really looking forward to next year, actually. So I'm already planning on it. So
Yeah.
anyway, so what are we talking about today, Danny?
I think that we should talk about the layers of design and how designers see layers and how the client sees their layers.
Right. It's like putting on layers of clothes, but there's a layer of design and how to build your room. And it's very important to get every layer proper before you start adding on to things. So
I hate when clients go from, we'll call it layer one, and they jump ahead to layer three, which is like artwork or accessories. So what I consider to be the three layers that I'll talk to a client about is layer one being their hard surfaces, meaning your cabinets, your floors, your countertops, your walls, your ceiling.
Yep, your 5 walls.
You got to have a base to work with.
That's right.
And layer number two, what I consider is to be your big pieces of furniture, which is your sofas, your case goods, your bookcases,
Your
dining room table, chairs.
That's right. Some of the big things.
Yes.
So.
And then layer three is basically your soft layer, which is your blinds, your draperies, your accessories,
Pictures,
artwork, lamps.
lighting.
Lighting's very important and should always be considered in step one.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
that's how we break it down to a client. But there's really 10 layers. And a lot of people don't realize the way our minds work. And when we start with layer one is basically your concrete foundation. And then layer two goes up to your subfloor, right? And your framing. And then your layer three is your drywall, layer four, blah, 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 layer five, six, like roof shingles, but those are all part of things that people don't see that go on behind the scenes that we have to consider.
Right.
Because you can't put hardwood floors down on top of concrete.
Right.
Because concrete takes 10 years at least to fully cure and dry. I've heard stories, they weren't my own, but I've heard stories of designers that went ahead and put in hardwood floors onto a concrete subfloor, and they couldn't figure out why the floors all buckled because the wood was sucking the moisture up and it made all of the floors buckle up.
Yeah,
so
it's a nightmare.
That's why engineered wood is one of the best things to use in the climate that we're in
Ohio,
well,
really, you know.
Anywhere above, do we call it the Florida-Georgia line?
Yeah.
Like in a temperate climate where we have 4 seasons, you want to always...
Or over above the Ohio River, you know, honestly.
So you want to use an engineered wood. And there's so many
LVP.
different types. LVP, luxury vinyl plank.
You'd have to put a vapor barrier down, which is very important with concrete. But I mean, we're getting
You do
into some
sometimes have to put a vapor barrier down. But there's a lot of LVPs, luxury vinyl planks, that have come out that are so advanced. They have cork backing on them, and you don't have to use that
vapor
barrier.
Yeah.
And sometimes we did a project in Texas where we went right over they had the ugliest tile, and we just put the LVP right on top of it. Oh, that was...
Yeah, that's a great option. Yeah, it's a good way to like get rid of the old sins.
But the technology in LVP has advanced so much that they are now selling a waterproof product that's completely waterproof.
That's great.
And then they're adding all these different variations in the wood and textures where you can't tell the difference between a luxury vinyl plank versus an engineered wood versus a hardwood.
That's
so
right. It's good. We're in a really good flooring kind of area of our world, you know. It's been easy. I think they're doing that type of thing with tile now, so you can get
LVT.
tile that looks like, you know.
So that's luxury vinyl tile.
And it has grout lines, but you don't have to clean them. So everybody loves that.
So I got a little training on LVP just recently.
Did you?
And yeah, I was at my flooring vendor, and they had something that was completely waterproof.
Oh,
And I said to my rep, I go, well, why? I thought this was always waterproof. And she goes, no, Danny, this one's specifically waterproof. And we always are learning in this industry because
Yes.
there's always something new coming out. So what I had learned is the reason that luxury vinyl plank came out is because people were sick of having to refinish their floors if they got a dent in them or they got scratched or something.
Dog scratches.
Yes.
Dog claws.
So they developed the LVP product that has a thicker polymer layer, and you don't have to refinish it.
Yep.
They last pretty much a lifetime.
Oh, yeah.
And
when you get tired of it, you just rip it up because it's floating.
yes.
It's a floating floor. It doesn't glue down. Now, some of them will glue down. They say you should.
We try to avoid using the glue down kind.
In
just
commercial
specifically.
environments, we do because wheelchairs on LVP, that's a floating floor, could break apart the connection. So that's a very, like, you
Now,
have
are
to
we
really
talking
make
hospital?
sure, or somebody, no, like daycares or any kind of adult situation.
So they do still make linoleum, and I can't believe I'm bringing this up.
I know.
But they do still make linoleum sheets
Yes.
that actually look like there's dimension to it.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like flooring, but that's perfect for the situation you're talking about.
Yes.
And it rolls out like carpet.
Yep.
And you don't have any issues with
That's
what
true.
you talked about. And
That's
that's
true.
what they're using now in most hospitality, hospitals.
Yeah.
I can't think of the word. What's
Healthcare?
Healthcare design. But isn't there
Healthcare
another
design.
word for it?
No,
Healthcare?
I think healthcare design or, yeah.
Healthcare, hospitality.
Wellness and, nursing home facilities and things like that.
Yes.
And a lot of people are, if they're overweight and in a wheelchair, that just complicates the situation too. So, but those kind of sheet vinyls are great for
Yeah,
that
I just saw
kind of
them the other day and I was
Yeah.
like, oh my God, they're still making linoleum.
I know.
And I was flipping through and I'm like,
thing. They don't look
Oh,
too bad.
no.
I know.
so
Yeah.
it was like kind of a bad thing. We would only use LVP in bonus rooms or in basements.
Yeah.
And we've seen the technology advance so much in the last 5 years. It's advanced so much in the last 10 years. We've been using it for the last 20 years.
They're in $1
but
million homes.
Yeah, now we're putting it in
Main
yeah,
areas.
and it looks really good. And you can't tell the difference.
Yeah, a lot of my clients that have dogs, specifically bigger dogs with the claws, they love that product because it's almost indestructible. You have to make sure you have a really thick wear layer, which is in mils, and anything over 12 is really good. So I usually
about
try to
12
pick
millimeters.
a 20 mil wear layer, and that will help keep so basically on an LVP you have layers. It's like a printed piece of paper, and then you have all these layers on top of it that add to that, and that keeps that from showing through any kind of marks or whatever. But
I typically space out pre-distressed floors.
yeah, that's a good idea
And
too.
that way you're already hiding
Yeah, that's a really good idea.
the things.
Yeah.
So back to the layers of design.
Yeah.
We're talking
So
about floors and walls.
Floors and walls, and I
We
want
always-
to add in trims and doors.
Well, yes.
Because-
That's your base and case.
Because base and case are really important.
They are.
And a lot of builders will put on those really thin baseboards that are like 2.5 inches, or
You see 'em everywhere.
they're
Anybody
just like
can get 'em.
basic stuff that goes around doorways, hollow doors and things like that. So a lot of my clients upgrade their doors to solid wood doors.
Yes.
And then we are doing wider baseboards, and they can be like
I do 5 to 8
5
inches.
to 8, yeah. Actually, the taller the ceiling, the higher the baseboard should be.
Yes.
Did you know that? Yeah.
I did.
Yes. So I'm sure you did.
I'm very anti-shoe molding.
Are you?
Yes.
Yeah.
If you notice, I don't use it.
That's true.
I don't have a lot of it, but
Yeah.
crown molding, I love stacking it and using
Yeah.
different
Yeah.
to get it a big chunky look.
We have just recently come across a couple clients that did not like crown molding, and we ended up using just flat mold.
Yeah.
And just use flat, and that's the ceiling line. So a lot of ceilings, let's talk about ceilings, because ceilings can be a real bear to deal with, because not a lot of builders make them flush. They
Oh,
don't
God.
level them out.
No,
So,
nothing's ever flat or level when
No.
you're with.
and you can't see it because it's up there. But if you take a big, wide 6-foot level and you put it on the ceiling, sometimes it can like do this number.
And that's why there's popcorn ceilings out there to hide the drywall tape lines.
Exactly.
And then they do stippling, and they take a brush and they call it texturizing, and they try to sell it to you as an upgrade. But the reason that they actually do that is so that you don't notice the drywall tape.
Yeah, the drywall ceiling people want you to do stamped ceilings and stippled and popcorn. Because they don't have to work so hard.
Yeah.
They don't. We just did a kitchen remodel, and the ceiling, we didn't know it wasn't flat, and in a 5-foot section, it went up about 1.5 inches.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it made the
Older
kitchen
homes,
cabinets,
nothing's
the
flat.
kitchen cabinets were supposed to go all the way to the ceiling, which they did on one side of the window, but the other side of the window, there was
off.
so much space. So we had to get really creative, and I
So what
came
did you
up
do?
with, well,
I know what. I don't know. Do you want to tell me what you did, or do you want to tell me what I think you did, or what I would do?
We put in a fake soffit that was like this thick, and we brought the ceiling down to the top of the cabinet, and then we used a flat piece of trim at the top of the cabinet, and that was kind of like it buffered the difference in where the ceiling was.
I think I would have.
I brought the ceiling down. I told the client to paint that piece like white with the ceiling, and then the painter went in there and he painted it the wall color. And I was like, no.
That's what happens when you don't babysit the contractors.
No, but I did, and I told them, and they said, well, the painter decided that was not the way to go.
And that's another reason why you have a designer. Because we are there watching, monitoring, why is this? Why did you do this? Why did you do this without approval?
Yeah.
That's not what I spec'd out.
Yeah.
And we do detailed paint plans.
Yeah.
So
the contractor could not figure this out, by the way. And so, just so you know, I solved the case.
But layer number one is always your floors, walls, and ceilings.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
And I
and
actually
trim around windows too. That kind of goes with the
base and case.
That's right.
And that's something that we deal with in new construction and remodels. We typically don't get to do that when we're doing just decoration.
Sometimes people will ask, and I'll say, I think you need to upgrade your moldings and baseboards. So
Exactly.
and maybe paint the moldings. So we might rip off the stained and put on new white molding. So,
Interesting.
Yeah.
So layer one is always going to be your base. The base of your room is layer one. And that's going to include your floor, your ceiling, your baseboards, your counters, your cabinets, your window casings, your crown moldings. Am I missing anything?
Nope.
Your interior doors, your exterior doors possibly, your hardware, your doorknobs. A lot of people don't think about that.
Yeah.
Your sinks, your plumbing fixtures, your faucets.
Right.
That's all layer one.
That's right.
And then once we get that layer finalized, we move on to layer number two. And layer number two is what we want to, we need to build off of layer one to get to layer two, because we need to paint the walls.
Right.
So before
Paint,
we get to layer
wallpaper.
two, wallpapering and painting, we always want to know what's going to happen in layer two. Like, what colors are the sofa going to be? What color are rugs going to be? Because that's going to dictate the color of the walls.
Yep, absolutely.
And we can't have those clashing.
No.
So layer two almost kind of should go hand in hand with layer one.
Yeah.
And
That's why you have to plan it out ahead of time.
yes,
That's why you hire a designer.
lots of planning.
We have to figure this out layer by layer, but it all has to work together, because you can't just do one layer and then stop, because and you can't pick layer number two without going to layer number one and addressing some of it.
Yes, exactly.
Anyway.
And then when
Case
we get
goods.
to, your case goods, your furniture, we get that all selected. We go into layer number three, which is your accessories, your window treatments, your lighting, as in your lamps, your ambient layer lighting, but your chandeliers should already be picked out by layer one.
Yeah.
because that's an attachment.
Well, and you have the 3 types of lighting too. You have the overhead lighting.
You have overhead lighting, task lighting, ambient lighting.
Ambient, yeah. So.
And lighting could make or break a project dramatically if it's not done correctly.
Big time. If it's not done at all. A lot of people don't think about lighting.
No.
And they don't even consider it. And I'm like, how do you work in this kitchen? There's no light. So anyway, like under cabinet lights are important too.
I love that. I love doing those.
Yeah, me
I
too.
do toe kick lighting.
Oh,
and I've been setting motion sensors on them.
Oh,
so when you walk in your bathroom,
that's
the
fun.
lights come on, and that's your night light.
They're doing a lot of backlit quartz now too.
I know. I just talked about that the other day.
And that's
I posted
super fun.
something, and LED lighting technology has advanced so much. It now comes in a flat sheet that you can roll out under your countertop, and it lights up.
Yeah.
Now, what happens when that burns out? Because I mean, it's new technology, and the diodes do fail sometimes. So I'm questioning whether we're going to. We'll see how that's going to work out.
So there's a little trick. You can find warranties on some of those.
Yeah, but not when you put a 10,000 pound piece of granite on top.
Right.
So
well,
that's
the sheets, I'm thinking about mirrors, that lighted up mirrors, because I had a client purchase one inexpensively from Home Depot, and within 2 years it had burnt out. So we had to buy a new one.
We spent 2 months finding this mirror with a warranty, and we found it.
Yes,
we did find it.
And then
it just took us a while.
Client that I showed her this, and she's like, $1,200 for a mirror? And I'm like, but it has a warranty, and you can't find warranties on these things, so it's a big deal.
And every light fixture that's coming out now has integrated lighting built into it. So I've been wondering what's going to happen. No, well, we're going to see.
I think we're going to find art with LEDs.
Oh, it's already out.
Yeah,
it's out.
backlit glass and things like. There's so much stuff you can do with all that.
So number 3 of your third layer, that's going to be your accessory layer, and that's going to also include your window treatments. Now, that's
my favorite
is
part.
her specialty, but I want to be clear on something. We should take that back to layer 1.
Exactly.
Now, why should we do that?
Because you have motorized window treatments now.
Yes.
And motorized window treatments can be hardwired in. So they're like, you don't even see the cords. There's nothing you see.
So before the drywall goes up, you'll have your electrician put your wiring in to each window, and that way you'll have proper functionality for motorized shades.
Exactly.
And you also have options where solar powered now, battery wands. We've done some tricky things where we hide them behind the panel and run them.
That's right. We can run a cord and then plug it into an outlet, and that can motorize the window treatments. Or we can do all battery operated.
I don't know much about the solar power. Is that a thing?
It's not as big right now. I know it's coming, but like our premier blind company, Hunter Douglas, they're not offering that yet. So when they come out with it, it's going to be the deal. That's going to be
and it's in the works. I can guarantee you, because I've seen it at KBIS.
Yeah, but everything can be programmed. All of that stuff can be programmed on your iPhone, your iPad. You can raise and lower your shades just by the click of your phone. So
you also can talk to, I can't say her name because she'll come on.
The A word, what ends in A.
And she'll open your blinds, she'll flush the toilets, she'll turn the oven on. I don't know why. The refrigerator has Wi-Fi now, the washing machine. So that's smart home technology that needs to be decided in phase 1.
That's right.
Layer 1.
Exactly.
But so.
But this is a very good podcast, because I think people don't realize that there are different, stages to the design process, but we have to think about all of these layers at once.
And we only explained 3.
Right. And then put them together, and we make it look easy, Danny.
We do.
We make all these things look easy. And
we make podcasting look easy, and
it is not.
We're getting there.
We are.
I'm happy that we're back in person.
Me too. Me too. too. So anyway.
But so
is a
layering is very important, and deciding whether you want a smart home from day one is pretty much important
Smart
too.
homes, yeah. If you're going to do any kind of speakers or, you know, I don't know if people are doing that as much anymore, but security systems for sure.
Systems,
but
speakers.
Everything's become wireless. So it's not as important to put all of that into layer one.
Well, I could tell you that I am obsessed with my new smart toilets, and it was no easy feat getting them installed. And I tried a washlet out, and I wasn't happy with it, so I went all in and got the Kohler Air toilet, and I had to get electricity put in at each toilet, and then the covers don't go right where the plumbing is. So, I mean, I built our house 20 years ago, and that wasn't a thing back then. But I could tell you a bidet is life changing. But they're very popular. Every client that is redoing a bathroom has been asking for bidets.
Yes, and the heated seat's amazing.
Yes.
Just saying, it's kind of like the heated steering wheel. It has changed my life. Changed my life.
Yes.
So anyway, but
wallpaper. I get asked about once a week. People will tell me, "Oh my God, wallpaper's coming back."
Yeah, it's been back.
It never went anywhere.
Yeah.
It never went anywhere.
It's back.
It's been there.
Been there.
We have scratch and sniff wallpaper.
Yeah.
We're wallpapering ceilings.
It's peelable, strippable. It's very easy
Do not
to
get
deal with.
involved with peel and stick wallpaper.
Right.
It is so hard to install. It's easy to remove.
Yeah.
But there's a couple vendors out there that have static cling wallpaper that it's renter friendly, and it just static clings to the wall. They do murals. Murals have been huge. All the florals
for
are
people
back.
that live in apartments and things like that. They can kind of personalize a space and and give a focal point where an area that you otherwise wouldn't be able to, and protect the wall, because if you have children, which I have, you can get some really like random things on the wall, and you're like, where did this smear come from? And I don't know what it is, but it looks disgusting.
And that's where back to layer one.
Layer one.
If you use good paint and not Promar 200 and not flat paint, your walls should be washable.
That's right.
If you're using a builder grade paint, they're going to use a flat paint, and you're going to have brandishing on your walls within 2 to 3 years, and you're going to be repainting.
Yeah.
And that's why we plan a project out. We specify the exact paint to use, and there's a reason why we spec out the paint that we do. And you can't just put wallpaper up on flat paint. Your walls have to be primed or sealed. Is that sizing as well?
Yeah,
sized. And so when we're doing projects, we try to think of how the space is going to be used in the future, and we also think about the return on the investment of how much you're going to spend versus what you're going to get out of it, and how long you want to stay in the home.
Yeah, or how long, if
7 years seems to be the number that's been said to me. I went to real estate school. Did you know that?
Oh, I did, yes.
But most people stay in their home for 7 years before they upgrade. And 7 years is typically the number that's where the sweet spot where you allegedly can get your money that you've put into the home out of it. Now, 7 years is also the time that they tell you that you need to buy a new mattress. 7 years is also about the time that your air conditioner or heater is going to fail. 7 years is also about the time where your appliances start failing. So I don't know what it is with the number 7, but that number's been coming up in our industry often.
I think it's getting more like 5 on the appliance part.
Planned obsolescence is what we're hearing.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So anyway.
So accessories are big.
Yeah.
And I think that is the one thing that people will try cutting from the budget. And accessories are really what makes the project
It is the icing
happen.
on the cake. I say window treatments are the icing on the cake, but it's that whole accessory layer.
Yes.
It's so important. It's the pulling off of the whole
It makes
project.
everything come together.
Yes, it is not to be overlooked. It is not to be put off. It is to be done when the project it's almost there, and you need to just go for it and do what
really
the
makes
designer wants.
pop.
It does.
And you don't have to spend a ton.
Yeah.
It can get expensive if you want it to be or if you let it, but we do have so many different accessory options. And like when we do install day, we go and we don't rob, we go to the local
vendors.
We go to Home Goods. We go to Home Goods, buy a bunch of stuff and try things out, and then we return things, and they kind of get pretty angry when we return.
Yeah.
But
I don't return too much.
I don't either.
Yeah, sometimes I'll end up keeping.
But
it
if I'm
just
if I'm working in a different state,
Yeah.
I pull.
Yeah.
I got to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
But
it's not an
accessories-
underestimated layer at all. And I think that even when you're trying to do accessories that you are balancing, I mean, that's all about balancing the space and creating light where there's not, like with mirrors, and then it's just so important.
Yes.
It's the focal point. It's the wow factor when you walk in the room.
It brings the whole project together.
And you can put a lot of money into the project in layer 1, layer 2, and not do layer 3, and it just doesn't come together. So like pillows on the couch, and any kind of throws or anything.
I have
like
these
that.
amazing leather balls.
Yeah, I love these.
That I just have. Well, I actually designed this.
I love it.
And
I love it.
I had them made.
Yeah,
And
that's amazing.
Yeah.
So those are things. Books, coffee table books are
Coffee
huge.
table books.
Plants, succulents, and
I do a lot of
vases.
permanent botanicals.
Yeah, I like those too. Yeah. I mean, anything that
greenery. It's always nice to bring greenery into a home because that makes it livable, lived in, and it warms your space up.
Or anything organic like sticks and. Like I went outside the other day and my tree was dropping acorns, and I gathered up a whole bunch of acorns and put them in a bowl. And I was like, I just love this. It's just organic and natural, and it just brought that level of inside outside kind of stuff, and it balances it out. So, and I love to do that too.
So we love doing our jobs. We love being designers, and the 3 layers that we communicate to you are only the 3 that we communicate to you. Like I said, there's about 10 different layers that go on behind the scenes that we need to think about, or that are going through our head at any given point of the project. We got to think, what's your subfloor? What's this? Where's this? Is there a water line behind the wall? I had a client that hung their own mirror and they hit a pipe.
Oh gosh.
And that caused a leak, and then that caused mold.
Oh,
and I was like, well, why didn't you just let me do it?
Yeah.
But we solved it. But as a designer, we know what we're getting into, and especially older homes, you don't know what is behind the walls with older homes.
There's even new homes that you don't know what's behind the walls. Sometimes there's nothing behind the wall, and that's an issue too for a heavy mirror.
Yes.
That there's nothing there.
And if somebody's buying lighting, let's say from Restoration Hardware, you can go to Restoration Hardware and buy one of their great looking ceiling lights, but what you don't realize, those lights are too heavy to hang.
Yes.
And the home needs to be reinforced, and the junction box has to be attached to a joist for that hang.
Yeah.
And if they don't, a lot of the sales associates there don't tell you that.
No.
And yeah, we take into weight, PSIs, pounds per square inch.
That's right.
Yeah, and then the lighting of the bulbs is so important.
That's a whole nother thing.
You never want to do daylight, which is in the 5,000 Kelvin range.
That's kind of what's on my face right now.
I try to do 2,700 to 3,000 lumens.
Me too.
And I do it in warm white, which gives you the ambiance of an incandescent bulb.
That's right.
If you do daylight, I mean, LED bulbs now, I've done the math. If you ran them 24/7, 365, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, that bulb's gonna last you for about 5 years. And they don't just burn out. The way they burn out is they start to flicker or they start turning orange. And then a lot of people don't think about the fixture that they're putting the LED bulb into.
Oh, right.
And LED bulbs are not supposed to get hot. Right. And I live in a building that doesn't like to take my design advice, and they put LED bulbs into a track lighting fixture, and I went to walk out the other day and I can hear electricity.
Yes.
The bulbs were all flashing, and I touched them and they were hot. They would have burnt the building down.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I was like, you can't put a bulb into a fixture from the year 2000. No. It's not going to work.
Right.
And there are about maybe 1,800 different bulb manufacturers. There are only 3 manufacturers that make the proper, what's that thing called that turns lights on and off?
Oh,
the switch.
Switches. The switch. Yep.
There are only about 3 manufacturers that make.
Switch
yeah, you have to have a certain
LED.
switch. And if you don't have that switch,
it'll flicker.
It'll flash. And if you don't use dimmable ones and you do it on, that's why you need us.
Yes, exactly. We will save you from a fire or a flood. I think that's a good way to go out.
That is. I want to say one thing to wrap this up. If you're a client and you're watching this and you're living on the project that we're working on, you are looking at a piece of art that is painted by one of the most fabulous artists. It could be Van Gogh or whatever, but you are living on a working job site and you end up seeing things that you're not going to see the final product because you're living in it and you're judging it before it happens. And we've had contractors leave their jobs because they get so stressed out that the clients are there.
Yes,
and it goes back to patience, and we explain this when we do the design process.
Yes.
And that's why you don't want to rush.
Trust the process.
Yes.
Trust the designer. Yep.
Trust the designer and trust the process.
Absolutely. So, well, this has been a good one.
I know.
I like it. Yeah. I think this is. We're going to keep these going, you guys.
Yes.
And thank you for all
Hope
of your support.
you had a great week.
And if you have any ideas that you want us to discuss,
let us know on Facebook, the Design Exchange.
We would love the input, and we'd love to hear what you thought about this today. And follow me on Instagram or Facebook, Fine Designs INT. Fine Designs and Interiors, and then my website's finedesignsinteriors.com, and then Danny.
DanielHome.com, Danny Russo on Instagram, Daniel Russo Home on
the website?
No, Daniel Home is my website.
Yeah.
The Daniel Home is Instagram.
And Danny Russo.
And I'm Danny Russo on Instagram.
Yes, and I just followed him the other day, so.
Where are we going? If you're following me and I'm following you, where the fuck are we going?
I don't know. We are going out of here.
Yes.
It's Friday. Have a good weekend.
Have a good weekend. Bye.